For our weekly political segment, Texas Face Off. You can catch it every Tuesday right here on midday. Today, Matt Makoviak, Travis County Republican Party Chair, and Diana Limon Mercado, Travis County Democratic Party Chair, are joining me. Thank you both for being here.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it. Okay, today's election day. We were talking about how the turnout has been kind of dismal for these runoff elections, but there's several races that are important, especially for city council. So we're going to talk a little bit about three of them. District 1, we have Natasha Harper Madison squaring off against Marian Salazar. What's at stake here? I know we talked a little bit about how there may even be a racial component to this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It could be that if Mariana Salazar wins, that we would have 4 Latinos on the Austin City Council, but we would have no African American voices on Austin City Council. And that really speaks to a number of issues that we're facing here in Travis County. We know that Austin is one of the largest cities in America that has a diminishing African American population as people are getting displaced. So there's a lot happening in that race with sort of the racial component of the race on top of the local politics of gentrification and affordability and everything else that's happening in the district.
Yeah, a lot of issues I think that concern everybody citywide. Even in District 3, we talked a little bit about this race, I think, here. We've got this sibling rivalry, which we've heard a lot about. Pio Renteria facing off against his sister again, Susana Almanza. They both have very strong issues about how we end up developing Austin when it comes to homes and things like that. Well, how important is this District 3?
Well, look, every district's important, right? We have 10, and because we have a weak mayor system in our city government, you basically have 11 city council members. The mayor has a podium and ability to do press releases and a staff, but he's in some ways kind of a city council member himself. And so one individual member matters. We've seen that with Ellen Troxclair, who's retiring, who had a profound impact on the council as only one of 10 council members. It's unusual to see 2 siblings run against each other. It's really unusual to see them have a rematch. Obviously, there's a personal vendetta there between the 2 of them that's a little bit unhealthy. I generally think the incumbent, Pio Renteria, probably will be reelected. He does have support from public safety organizations like the firefighters. So we'll see what happens. Turnout has been so low across the city. You have large swaths of the city where there is no runoff. And these races are not getting all that much attention, and I think people are probably tired of the election. So a few dozen votes may decide some of these council races. Let's
talk a little bit. You mentioned Ellen Troxclair's seat because I think it's pretty important. She did provide some balance in Austin City Council, being that lone Republican voice. There's a chance that we won't have that. How important is that for a balance in a city like Austin? Yeah,
when we started, when we went to 10-1, we had 3 Republicans basically elected. 2 of them lost. Sherry Gallo and Don Zimmerman lost 2 years ago, and now Ellen decided to retire. And so she recruited Frank Ward to run. We have a runoff between Frank Ward, who finished second, and Paige Ellis, who finished first. So there's a close race there. You've seen the police, the firefighters, the realtors, the sheriffs, and of course the Travis County Republican Party, all unified behind Frank, who's going to be a taxpayer champion on the council. Ellen had a huge impact as one council member. She was really the only person up there, I think, that was putting taxpayers first on a consistent basis. Frank wants to be that kind of council member again. This is a very, very close race, and we'll see what happens.
What do you tell people out there who may be hesitant to go to the polls today? They don't know a lot about the races. Why is it important that people get out there?
Yeah, these local races have an immediate impact, probably the most significant impact on their day-to-day lives and on their neighborhood. It is, one of 11 people on city council along with the mayor, and particularly Paige, she's endorsed by EMS, by Sheriff Sally Hernandez, and by Constable Stacey Suits, who's the constable for the area. Transportation, public safety, emergency services are the top issues for her. And while we did have a conservative voice on the city council before, these issues continue to be unresolved. And if anybody thinks that there's not dissent already on the city council, they're clearly not paying attention. There's plenty of dissent, there's plenty of healthy debate happening on city council. And with the removal of those other 2 conservative members, you see the trend in Austin voters and what their priorities are. Ellen Troxclair also dissented on things like LGBTQ equality, on support for Planned Parenthood, and on local control, and that's not the values of Austin voters.
Important to have your voice heard in a council election like this, where, as you mentioned, we have 11 seats. So these 3 seats really do matter.
They do, and listen, I think the choice before the voters, particularly in this district, in District 8 in Southwest Austin, is are you happy with the direction of the city? Are you happy with transportation continuing to get worse? Are you happy with property taxes doubling every 9 years? Are you happy with the affordability crisis, which gets worse and worse and worse? Not on its own, it gets worse because of policies at the city level. And so if you're frustrated with those things, you have a chance to send someone to the city council who's going to try to take the city in a different direction, fight for taxpayers, put them first. Frank Ward's that candidate.
We talked a little bit about affordability in this newscast today and how on a 33% rise.
Yeah, absolutely. And Frank Ward was opposed to the affordable housing bond as well. So I don't think that you know, is the reason that people would be electing him. I think people are supporting Paige Ellis because she cares about things like affordable housing, protecting our environmental resources, as well as smart planning for the future.
The city doesn't need to add more debt. We just added $1 billion in debt in November at a time when 58% of the voters decided to reject an independent efficiency audit. I mean, it's truly insane. It's like asking your credit card company to increase your limit, but say, stop sending me the bill, I don't know how I'm spending money. So unfortunately, affordability and transportation are likely to get worse before they get better in Austin. I think voters in Southwest Austin, which is a Republican area, have a chance to say no. We want to send a taxpayer champion who's going to hold our leaders accountable, who's going to be a fiscal conservative, who's going to fight for taxpayers every single day, and that's what Frank Ward will do.
We'll see what happens election day today.
Yeah.
Get out there and vote. Diana, Matt, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're back after this.